This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same-day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram at Lone Wolf PB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community. This episode of PTG is brought to you by Transfuse, the hydration, immunity, and mental clarity booster, and Transcend Nootropics. And with just one serving of Transfuse, it is equal to 4 of the competitors in one. And there is no other formula as potent as Transfuse on the market. And you are all encouraged to go and compare the formulas with any other products on the market and see for yourself just how amazing it is. Transfuse uses all natural flavors, colors, and sweeteners, and there's no proprietary blends, so you know exactly every milligram of each ingredient you are consuming. This formula was created to optimize your mind, body, and immunity, and Transfuse can be used as a high-performance multiplier for working out and any competitive sports or demanding lifestyles. Also, be sure to get your hands on the Transcend, which is a nootropic formula that improves cognitive function and can replace your morning coffee, pre-workouts, energy drinks, or energy shots. The formula contains lion's mane, alpha GPC, teacrine, and dynamin. Transcend was created based off of research studies to help with cognitive control and mental function. So get your hands on some Transcend and some Transfuse today. Head on over to transfuseusa.com. Use code PLAYTHEGAME for 10% off and sign up for monthly delivery service for an additional 10% off to take advantage of 20% off these products altogether right now. Head on over there, support PTG. We appreciate you, and we'll see you in the show. This episode of PTG Podcast is brought to you by the new HK Army UV Glow Charging Sonic Loader and HK Army Glow in the Dark Paintballs. Everybody, it is time to light up the night sky with one of the most exciting paintball experiences you will ever have. There are 7 integrated UV LED lights in the new UV Glow Charging Sonic Loader that will illuminate the HK Army Glow in the Dark Paintballs and have them supercharged for non-stop nightball fun. You do not know what you are missing out on until you go enjoy some nightball with some friends and shoot these instant tracers downfield with HK Army's glow-in-the-dark paintballs that provide precision accuracy, vibrant glow fill, and are all available right now on hkarmy.com. Do yourself a favor, head on over to hkarmy.com and get the new HK UV Sonic Loader and glow-in-the-dark paintballs right now exclusively at HK Army. Log in, support, have fun, and we'll see you on the field. Tell them PTG sent you.
What up, PTG Nation? Welcome back. This episode, we have Glenn Takamoto, one of the best players of all time. That's right. If you don't know who Glenn Takamoto is, then you must be a new young player, and you don't know one of the most dynamic and elusive OGs in the game. Glenn has played for some of the best teams in the world, Infamous, Excessive, KAPP Factory, Dynasty, and is truly iconic. He was one of the greatest to come out of California, and having a story here on PTG was a true blessing. It was awesome to sit down and have a conversation with Glenn. Hopefully we could drag him out to a practice here soon. There's some talk that he might suit back up. I don't know. You'll have to listen to the rest of the show to find out. So without further ado, we're going to hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
What's going on, PTG Nation? We bagged him. We got the legend himself, none other than Glenn Takamoto on the show, the NorCal legend who I grew up playing alongside. What's going on, Glenn? How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Glad to be on. Good to see your faces.
Dude, it's about time.
I know. It's been a little bit. I've been in hiding, so it's mostly my fault.
You're working hard, man.
Yeah. Well, sort of.
Oh no, I know you, Glenn. I know you.
Yeah, what are you doing these days? What does post professional paintball athlete connoisseur world traveler look like?
Gosh, it's a lot more boring than the paintball life. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
No, I think since I stopped playing professionally, mostly. I mean, the reason why I originally stopped playing was just I had a kid, and then just life took me by wind, and then had to get a little bit more serious about just career wise things like that. So it's mainly raising a family. I got a daughter now that's about to be 8. My son's 4.
Amazing.
And then just been corporate world working. So that's
dude, congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Because I have a 8-year-old as well, so I salute you, Glenn, because I know it's a lot
tough.
of work, but it is the most rewarding work, and it's something that it's you, it's you and living flesh right there. So you have a beautiful family. You guys are all growing together, working really hard, and without a doubt, in your prime of playing pro paintball, in my personal opinion, you're one of the best paintball players to ever pick up a marker, like without a doubt. The way that you were able to, and it's crazy because you didn't even care. You didn't even care, dude.
I guess that's been my MO or something. I think I get labeled that. There's a slightness. I do care, but
I know. I'm just messing around.
There's still the drive. There's a reason why. There's a reason why you both are some of the the greatest players as well. So there's that drive to win.
Dude, we were Marcelo and myself were kind of laughing about that. We're like, he for sure cared. Like you had this way of making it look so effortless and easy and almost like you didn't. But same with like
Dalton. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And there's a lot of players that are kind of similar where they have a facade like they don't care or whatever, but underneath they care more than anybody, and they work tirelessly to think about the game and to like prepare and be ready for moments out there.
Oh, definitely. Like I think that's with any sport too. I mean, the people that are at the top, you see the outward appearance of a lot of things, but internally there's that drive. I mean, there's no reason why most people don't stay at the top, but there's not some sort of internal drive to be better, to get better. And not just competition of sports and just wanting to win.
That's like a really interesting statement too, because I think a lot of players, they don't understand that. A lot of divisional players, they look at players like Dalton currently, right? They're like, well, he doesn't really care or try that hard, and look how good he is, so I don't have to. But that's like not the case, and I try to explain that to him, like, guys, you don't understand. Dalton probably cares more than anybody, and back in the day, same with you. I don't know what your preparation was like, if you watched film or, how you trained or how you thought about the game. I would like to talk about that, but it's definitely, you don't get that good at something without caring.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's one of those ones too, if you watch all these like sports documentaries now, which are great, like on different sports and stuff. But I mean, even when I was a kid, just trying to make the pro scene, it was like out in the backyard or like practicing in front of the mirror, the snap shooting and stuff like that, or just trying to play one-on-ones and things just to perfect those skills. But then when you're, so when the time comes, when you're on that moment or that stage that you need to have it, like it's just like walking or riding a bike sort of thing, or natural instincts. But you definitely don't get that. Sure, some people are just born with some natural skill talent, but I think the majority of pretty much anybody in the pro scene or anybody has put in their time, put in their effort, practices, like hours of either just one physical, conditioning, but just also the skill set needed for paintball and the aspect of it, like Marcel, you said, watching film and things like that. So, 100%. Like I remember as a kid, just watching all those paintball films and just like trying to see how the pros did it and then emulate and figure it out. And then
what was your favorite one?
I don't really remember. I think I think when I first started, it was like seeing it on like ESPN2 or whatever, one of those ones, like the way back in the day sort of thing where they're playing like on wood pallets and stuff. But like Trauma Head, I remember Trauma Head, Dirter, like those are the big videos that I would watch all the time.
Yeah, for everybody that doesn't know, where are you tuning in from right now? You're in San Diego, is that right?
San Diego still, yep.
Yes, sir.
I don't think I'm going to leave here anytime soon.
It is a really nice area. I'll give you that.
It's hard to leave, dude. San Diego's the best, man.
It is nice. I mean, we've all traveled a fair amount, and I think San Diego will be on the top place for most people's lists.
Yeah. And for all the listeners out there, Glenn grew up in Northern California. One of my biggest inspirations, actually, we grew up in the same area when I was just a
Yeah.
youngster, and watching players like yourself, J-Lo, Jason Locke, Duffy, Cowboy, just all the dogs, obviously Beastman. There was so many legends that were in the area and all formed into this group called KAPP Factory. So I want to get into that at a certain point, but what you guys did culturally for the game and for so many players, probably without even realizing it, was really fundamental in shaping the current iteration of paintball that we're in right now in so many ways. Just from how you approach the game from a business standpoint as well, not just as players, but as businessmen. And it is really fundamental for so much movement that's going on in the current game of paintball right now. So I want to dive back into your history and kind of get the roots on how you even got into paintball, where the journey started for you, and what that looked like and how excited you were when you started playing. Because I know I was, and I still am to this day, because of this badass game we get to play.
I know, it's crazy. I remember, I think the first time I met you, I was still taller than you, which is hilarious. And then I think every time I would see you, just get bigger and bigger, and then you surpass me very quickly.
Dude, I don't know how it happened. What happened?
Yeah, so I think what was the first time? First time I played paintball when I was a kid, maybe the teenagers. It was at Mare Island. So anybody from Northern California remembers Mare Island, but it was
legendary.
Like Alex Frazier and all them all played out there when they were younger. And then, but I was played with a rental. I was scared shitless. I think I hid behind my bunker and shot like 5 paintballs the whole day, but I had a blast. So that was my first time ever. It was just like something for fun I did with my dad and brother. And then there was a local field on Mount Diablo that was about 20 minutes from my house. It was all woods ball. So that's where we would just go and play for the weekends. And I started reffing there for a little bit. Dave Baines and Johnny Perchek were actually there. Doing reffing at the place, and there's another Nathan Armstrong. So that was like
real quick. Did you start playing before Alex and them, or was that after?
After. So I think at that point they were already on like Iron Kids and stuff like that. Oh, wow. They were more of like they had already started the tournament.
Got it.
So I was a little late, to probably a couple years behind them in that aspect. And then let's see, whatever happened to that, and then. So Dave and Johnny and Adam Brushin wanted to go start playing tournaments. And that was like this whole divide then of like this recreational woods versus like the tournament players and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think our local field started banishing the tournament players because they wanted to keep it all nice and cordial. So then my brother just dragged me along for a tryout. And at the time I thought paintball was like, tournament paintball was completely stupid. Like it was the dumbest thing in the world. My brother was like, I want to go play tournament paintball. We can do this. And I was like, you're dumb. This is like, go to school. So anyway, he dragged me along for it, and then I had a blast, and it was fun. And then we got picked up. He's like, you want to join the team? I was like, sure, whatever. Still think it's stupid. And then,
what year was this?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I want to say it was like 2000 or something, 2001 or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And then, so we did some tryouts, got picked up, and luckily enough, we went as KAPP Factory to World Cup, and it was essentially all we had to do is pay for our plane fight, and everything else was covered. And I was like still in high school at that time too. And then I was like, this is nuts. My dad was like, just do it. It'll be fun. Who cares? Have a fun experience of it. And then sure enough, went to World Cup. I think I played one game maybe. Like it was like because I was like the 13th person on the 10-man team.
Yeah.
But I was hooked after that. It was like so much fun.
It was a spectacle. Those
at
that time were insane.
Yeah, the bunker setups with like they had all those crazy different like JT Aztecs and these like massive.
The fields were huge. They were monumental. It's like NXL's been bringing back the 10-man air ball. We've seen it at the ICPL. They have it at the events as well. But these fields, imagine like 10 or 12 of them, and then you have to walk all these different fields. It was a crazy time.
Yeah. So after that, I was hooked. And then that was the start of my paintball journey, to the quest to become pro. But
Kick-Ass Paintball Products was the name of the team that they went out there for.
Iconic team right there.
Yeah. So that was in a nutshell. then the rest is somewhat history. Then it's just grinded, try to get better. I would go like on the Friday nights or something. There was a local paintball field, so I'd go try to play paintball on Friday night instead of getting in trouble partying, and then go on the weekends and practice. And that's
you would play basically 3 times a week then.
Yeah, at that time I'd be playing as much as I could.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd play Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, just to get those reps in. Because I mean, you're still learning. Like you're trying to get better and refine those skills.
Damn, I wonder how he got so good. Just
Exactly.
playing 3 times a week. It's just crazy. I wonder.
It's funny. A lot of kids play one day a week. One Sunday, or teams will practice, one day a weekend now. They wonder why they're not having success. Growing up, same thing. I'd play Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday. Wednesday was like the local night out at Adrenaline. And that's where I met Mike Hinman and some of the Aftershock guys at the time, Mike Coda, Fish. And, it's like, if it weren't for me going out on those Wednesdays just to try to get some spins, I never would have even been recognized for San Diego Aftermath. And that's kind of what, kickstarted my whole career. So just being at the field, one, to get the reps, but get recognition. It's important.
Definitely. Also finding people that share that passion. Like I think we're all lucky in a sense that we're able to find people that time that wanted that same goal. Would push each other to get better. I mean, my brother or other teammates, we would just, something as simple as like just going behind a wall and be like, "Can I see your elbow?" or "Can I see this?" or like, "What do I look like?" It's all good feedback to understand what the other person's seeing and how you improve on that.
Absolutely. That's something that we talk about at all of our training events too, is like help each other, like take that extra time, do the extra drills. You're going to save actually a bunch of paint by just doing the drills, because when you're playing paintball, you're just expending paintballs left and right. And that's very necessary. You have to play paintball as well. But try to be mindful of that paint consumption and using it for drills as well, and really heightening your game with that.
100%. I think too, when we were originally started, paint was expensive, right? And it wasn't as easy to come by. So you would go out there with, even Dave and I used to just go out there with autocockers, just to perfect those, using as least amount of paint as possible.
Dude, I remember that
from a cost perspective, right? Because it's like we didn't have unlimited paint. When you're starting out, you're scraping by trying to get cases or whatever type of paint you can from people. So it's like, from a cost perspective, you couldn't just go out there and shoot, unlimited paint or just dumping it on the ground or anything.
Yeah. Dude, I remember that vividly, actually. You and Beast running around with autocockers playing and like using a case of paint and having it last a really long time. And you guys would be bantering back and forth with each other too about like, your paint consumption and how many kills you got. And it's hilarious.
You can be very productive
Wednesday nights too. Sorry.
No, yeah, I'm just saying you could be very productive with even a bag of paint. If you can go out and have some targets and maybe a bunker or two blown up, you can get so much accomplished with just 500 paintballs. It's like really valuable in helping your skill set.
Yeah, all you need is one paintball to hit that guy.
It's all Glenn needs.
Yeah,
that's for sure. One paintball. I've seen one paintball from Glenn's barrel actually shoot 2 people.
Really? I don't think I remember that.
I think it's a myth, but
sure.
I believe it.
I believe
it. I'll take it.
All right, Glenn, talk to me about KAPP, what it was like being around your best friends in the world at that age, growing up at that time in paintball. It was truly
crazy.
Booming. So I want to talk about that.
KAPP was an interesting time. And then, when I was going around teaching clinics or talking to people, they're like, "How'd you do this? How'd you get like everything like worked out for you?" And then it's one of those ones where we were at the right place at the right time with the right people. Like a lot of traditional other people coming up, trying to get to the pro rank. I want to say we had it a little bit easy. Like we were lucky enough that we were good at paintball. We were lucky enough that we were local in NorCal. We had good teams to practice with. And then we had a sponsor that kind of footed the bill for a lot of our amateur stuff more than other teams. So we were lucky in that sense, and I understand that. But we also took advantage of it. It's like we were out there practicing. We just got to travel all over the place, and it was fun. Like we wanted to win, but we also wanted to have fun too. So it was a good time. That at the time that the paintball scene was still unknown, right? Like it's like, you have all these different people coming in, different sponsors and things like that. You don't really know. Nobody really knew what was going to happen. But yeah, that was part of probably what, again, still hooked me with the paintball aspect. Is just, I mean, what more can you ask for as a kid? Just to be able to travel and play a sport that you like, and then with people that you enjoy hanging out with.
Well, dude, you guys were dominating people, bro. It's great.
Very true. Again, it just so happened we were good. Like, I mean, we all practiced and we all had the same mindset. So it was it was a fortunate series of events that all worked out in our favor.
I was on Twisted Factory, and at the time, like I was saying, Dave would come out on Wednesday nights to Modesto at Extreme Paintball, and we would play out there Wednesday nights, and then obviously Saturday, Sunday, as much paintball as we could. But the KAPP Factory movement was huge. I remember being on Twisted, and your games, KAPP Factory games, were my favorite games to watch. It was something about the style of play. It was the way in which you all moved and spoke together and were just like a real tight family. It was crazy to watch at my level as like a rookie novice player, to see that level of play being demonstrated. Those were the games that I would always find on the time slot, and I'd be like, I'm going to be at that game. I'm going to watch that game, and I would make sure I had my eyes on the way that you all played, because it really inspired me in my style of play in so many ways. So how did, you guys were just on a mission of mercy, obviously, winning, dominating together, having fun. And how long did that last? It was for like a few years, right?
Yeah, it was probably about 2 years. I want to say like the KAPP Factory from amateur, and then we turned pro. But it was, yeah, I don't really know how we got our style in that sense. It was just a mix of the players, and that's probably that part of that team aspect where we all meshed. And for whatever reason, everybody played to their ability, like their certain skill sets. And then also, you have your role players and things of that nature. And everybody was just able to come together as a team to play well. I mean, we were young. We also didn't really know what we should and shouldn't be doing sort of thing. So you just go out there and you do your best. I mean, we were fortunate to get to play against, or have it, like Bob Longs to practice against, and even like some of the Dynasty guys to practice against in Ironman. So it's like, we got to play against the highest caliber players when we were relatively unknowns. So, we were always just picking up on little skill sets that, a lot of people might not have been able to be exposed to.
Yeah. And I think that is a common thread for a lot of the best players in the world. They trained alongside some really good players as well, right? Like, you have to have someone who's going to be your guru or your coach or your sensei. You have to have someone that is going to teach you and fast track you in a way that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise. I know that if I didn't grow up in Modesto, California, have the chance of meeting, players like Rich Telford, who was running the Ironman, and then that got me in contact with Twisted Paintball, and then, rubbing elbows with KAPP, and then Bob, I got picked up when I was 13, and we were playing against like Avalanche and KAPP and all of you guys. So I would get to play against all of you at the height of your career when I was just a kid as well. And the NorCal scene was insane. Like, at the time, there was a lot of paintball being played in NorCal at that time. So, it is, you say it's luck, but if you can't have that luck, you've got to create that luck for yourself. So make that something that you do out there. Find someone who's going to coach you, someone that's going to be an apprentice where you can learn a lot from that. And if it's not in your area, you might have to travel a little bit to find that. But if you really want to get good, that's what you have to do. Especially nowadays too. I mean, even the fact that, say, you two are doing the podcast and other people have like the access to information now is a lot easier as well. So, I mean, there's really no excuse, right? At this point, anybody can get tidbits of information.
Absolutely.
You can move a little bit easier if you're really motivated. Just move to an area that's more of a paintball hotbed. But yeah, nowadays I think there's really no excuses of everything's at your fingertips. You don't even have to move. You can just train really hard and listen to all the bits of information. That's true. Yeah. I mean, because if you think about it, like we never had access to I mean, just to have like you two are on here and you'll talk to people and you'll answer questions and things like that. So it's like, well, dude, we got the Eagle on here, the Jedi Master. You're on here, bro.
we're about to send it because, like I said, Glenn, the way you read the field was some of the best that's ever been done. If you don't know, do your homework, please. Do some research on Glenn Takamoto because, without a doubt, in my history book of paintball, will go down as one of the greatest of all time. Oliver said that he used to work you and just shoot you all the time. I told him that's lies. I know
He
Glenn.
did for a while. He had my number for a very long time.
Why do you think that was? Because you were definitely one of the best one-on-one players, one of the best shooters in the game. Yeah, what was it about Oliver?
There was something about the, I don't know. It's just one of those ones where people are just good. They just have some sort of like thing about it, right? For whatever reason, it's like, and again, he's been playing pro. He played pro forever. I looked up to him. I think when I was first starting out, you're like, oh wow, here's this young guy, just awesome. Yeah. At, he's creating a new different style of play. But for sure. It's one of those ones where again, even Tyler and Marcelo, yourself, you guys have there's these unique skill sets, right? That's something that makes you different. But I remember watching Oliver one time, and it was like 3-on-1 or 2-on-1. He's like in the open. He's shooting his gun. He's just like shredding paint everywhere. And somehow one ball just makes it out and hits the dude in the face. And I'm like, how is that possible? Like, it's impossible. Like, you got one ball out, and paintball's flying all over the place. Shoots a guy, and then just like runs around, shoots the other guy, and bunkers the other guy. And I'm like, I don't know. Call it luck, whatever. But,
call it luck.
You do
okay,
it.
So I can't wait to report back to Oliver. It was luck. That's our answer.
Boom.
It was all luck.
It was hilarious. I'm like,
he did have a lot of things go his way. It's crazy, but it's one of those things where like tie goes to the runner, like so many things where the cards would just fall right. And he always like believed that they would fall in his favor too. That's what's crazy. It's like something about how he approaches everything he does. He just like always feels like luck's on his side, and seems like it is.
Yeah, I think he would. I'm trying to think when I first started, he would a good thing he would almost actually like Tyler now you did. It's like you must dominate. They dominate you like on the field, right? So like they're gonna make it know like they're gonna put you in, they're gonna do it, and like just control you, and let that tempo be known. So it was like he had that. I haven't seen you play in a while, Marcel, but I think you and I are similar. We're a little more methodical.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you want to shoot 10Ks Pam? Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I just won't come out and battle with you. Like if I play against Tyler, I'm not going to battle Tyler because I think Tyler's probably going to win 99 out of 100 times in a snap shooting contest.
Oh no, Glenn, you're nasty, dog.
Yeah, but even then, it was like it's stuff like that. So it's like he had
he would assert his dominance, and then when you're doing that, if you think about it, life is a numbers game. Paintball is a numbers game. You have to shoot your shot to make them land, right? So if he's bussing through paint, just mashing through it, he knows one's coming through at some point, and he's going to send it through. But it's asserting dominance in paintball. You definitely have to be able to assert your dominance. And I know all three of us sitting here assert dominance on the field, and we do it in unique ways. But that is how you get it done. And it's all timing too, right?
There was a cool clip. I'm pretty sure it was Serial Killers where Oliver's in like a 1-on-2, maybe even a 1-on-3, but he's in a corner can and he's living on the outside of his bunker, and the other team's in the corner as well. So they're both on the tape. But the second player against Oliver is like somewhere on the other side of the field. So he has to live on the outside of the can. And he's just like pounding, he doesn't stop shooting his gun at his mirror, and you would think like all his mirror has to do is literally come out and put he's standing in the wide open. Is this what you're talking about, Glenn? He's like kind of hiding. He's kind of hiding behind a bunker here, but he's like completely on the side of it. Maybe it's a different time, but that was like always his brand for sure. Is just shoot by numbers, accuracy in numbers, volume, just completely suppress you with the amount of paint he would shoot at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a dog, absolute dog out there.
Yeah, that's how he plays the 1-on-1s too. He doesn't stop shooting.
Oh, really?
Doesn't stop shooting. Yeah. I mean, dude, like think about even what was it? It was World Cup 2014, I think, in those 1-on-1s. I think he played Bobby actually, just doesn't stop shooting. Anytime you ever see him in 1-on-1s in practices, he's like just nonstop shooting. He'll shoot like 5-6 pods in a 1-on-1, Yeah, it's his style. Just bombard you.
Glenn, have you seen the new 1-on-1 that he's doing?
Actually, I haven't seen them play. I saw some pictures of it, but that's that whole like tour they're doing, right? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And he was on the episode just a couple episodes ago talking about, he wants to change people's lives, and he's really on a mission right now. And they're actually going to be doing the finale. Is it in just a couple weeks, March?
2 weeks, yeah. So it's the same weekend as the WCPPL finale. It's a bummer because it was originally supposed to be at the WCPPL tournament on Sunday, but the WCPPL moved the venue. So it was originally going to be at SC Village. Now it's going to be at Glenn's Field, Ambush Paintball Park. And so Oliver's tournament is still at SC Village. Yeah, which is a bummer. But I think because one of the kids that I coach on the Misfits, Cameron Bushby, is in the finale. So we'll finish up competing on Saturday and then go out there for the event Sunday.
Nice.
See if we can take home 10 grand. That'd be tight.
I think that one-on-one formats, I think it should work. I mean, in general, right? Like I think Brandon Short was trying to do it for a while, right?
Yeah.
Like,
The Pro Tour.
Yeah, the Pro Tour and stuff. But I mean, it's a good, I think it's a great concept. I mean, you get to showcase people's individual skill set, and then it's a little bit easier for people to follow too.
Yeah.
Oliver's
is wild. It's
ahead,
wild. I mean, the field is so small. It's like a quarter.
Oh, okay.
It's a quarter the size of a regular field.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I forget the dimensions. And you start facing each other with no bunker in front of you, so it's really easy to ace people too. So it's a crazy concept that definitely rewards athleticism. And that first ball, if it's on, my goodness, you could just like run up the score.
Nice.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna win 10 grand here pretty soon.
Nice. Yeah. That's a good price package.
All small bunkers, small Aztecs, small Doritos, none of the big, bunkers, which I think is nice too.
Yeah.
So it's like easy to fill.
You can have Tyler to jump over the top of cans and shoot people then. He gives the short people a little more
Yeah.
Yeah, the temples, like those Mayan temples, you do not want to see me in one of those temples. I'm telling you.
All sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. Low corner, high corner. Where's it going out? Where's it going? Glenn, after KAPP, did you start with Avalanche after KAPP Factory?
Yes, I think after KAPP, and this is one of those ones where it's like, we started out with friends, but it got a little bit to the point where some people, it was getting a little too serious for them, sort of thing. So it's like we had to, some people kept wanting to progress to go that pro and, eventually try to get to that next step of pro and move up the ladder. So,
dude, you're talking to thousands and thousands and thousands of people right now who are like in this same boat. So definitely give them some good info on this.
It was hard because, right, like you're friends with everybody, but then on the other half, some of us still wanted to win and we still wanted to be the best. So it's like, at what point does the divide happen? Some of it kind of happened a little bit naturally. Some people stepped away. We had to bring other people in, sort of thing, to get that team to that competitive level. But that was that next step. So it's, again, one of those ones that wasn't, we're still friends with a lot of people, but it was like, all right, if this isn't what you want, this is what we want. Sorry. And then like, we're going to try to make it that way.
And you have to make it just put it all out there on the table, right? I mean, everyone has to know what the parameters are that we're trying to accomplish. And then if you're with it, you're with it. If not, that's cool. Right. Let's still be friends, but this is where we're headed.
Yep. Yeah. So then we went with Avalanche. We were able to jump on, gosh, my brain's getting foggy at this point. But with Ed Porman. So Ed Porman was able to somewhat take us under the wing with
shout out
sports. Yeah. Shout out to Ed. And then that was our start of our early pro journey of Avalanche. And then I was like, 1 or 2 years, we had some funny deals with I think there's some Taiwan company. They're supposed to give us a bunch of money. We were shooting these knockoff guns.
No way.
Yeah. And they were supposed to give us a bunch of money and then they just didn't. So it's like,
wait, what's a bunch of money? How much were they going to give you guys?
Oh my gosh. I want to say, I can't remember, but it was almost upwards of 750 grand or so.
No way.
Yeah, it was a bunch of money back then too. It was it's starting to get into the heydays. It was a lot of money. It was the total package, from Pate and all this stuff, and a bunch of cash and stuff.
Got it.
So it was, and then that was we were able to get, we rented a house that we, a bunch of us lived up in Northern California, and so none of that really came to fruition. I think we got maybe 100 grand or something like that. So it's still a bunch of money, but not at the time. But that was then we still had to run the team. You had to still pay for all the flights and hotels
Yeah.
and practices and all that stuff.
That's a lot of work too.
It was, yeah. So I was like, I gotta get I did a lot of the managing the travel and things of that nature. And then I got my early, I guess, real life experience in just like sponsorships and contract negotiations, one for the team itself, but also like individually of just, talking with teams or
Yeah.
trying to do clinics, setting up clinics and things of that nature.
How did you because obviously there were people that were on board and that weren't on board with where you guys wanted to go and being the best pro paintballers that you could possibly be. How did you guys, make that clear to the team as you guys moved into Avalanche and started that journey?
I think it was more of like it probably got set as more as like mandatory practices and stuff like that. It's like, here's the practices you got to go to. If you want to play, you got to go to the practices. Like we have to do this. These are the tournaments we're going to play. You have to make that commitment to the team to be able to commit to at that time, whatever 5-10 events, depending on, which series we're going to play in, sort of stuff. And then, then that extra practice on your own, like whether it's at that time when X ball was starting to come out, you had to be in a little bit better physical shape, right, than you might have previously had to been. So just taking it more seriously, right, taking it more like a pro sport, and putting in the time and effort that's needed to try to be the best, right? So that was that probably that hard line of like, we need the commitment. Are you going to do this? Or are you not going to do it?
So at this time you were training as well, right? You'd probably be running, doing anything that you can to be in the best shape possible.
Yeah. I mean, a little leeway in that one. At the time, you still get away.
You were rocking and having fun, but
it wasn't as athletic as you need to be nowadays. I think nowadays you have to actually be, very good shape. You have to be in the top skill set sort of thing. You can get away with it still a little bit when we first started.
Yeah.
It's really funny how you push one another as competitors, right? Like if you're at the peak, you'll kind of do what you can get away with, right? And the better your competition gets, then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to start cutting this and that out, and then, it's just like a spiral, right? Once the competition elevates itself, then you're forced to start doing more and more. And it's like really, really interesting. That's kind of everything in life, right? And that's where the sport's at right now too. It's like, all right, how much are people sacrificing? Yeah, okay, well, you're gonna have to sacrifice this much more. You're gonna have to spend this much more time in the gym or at the field, if you want to stay on top.
I'd have to imagine it. And again, I haven't really watched anything in the last year or two, but like probably the skill set at the pro level, I'd have to imagine is like peak. Like just, I mean, I think everybody's probably really good. And I don't know what else, maybe in my thought process, maybe you guys can chime in of like, what better can you be at, like, other than running and gunning and peak physical shape, like not making mistakes. Yeah. Like, cause I feel like everybody has to be on that level, if not higher. And then it probably just comes down to like, you just can't make mistakes.
I mean, there's so many levels to it. Really, you have to be obviously in great physical shape. You have to approach the game mentally properly, be the best teammate you possibly can for the organization, and try to, like when you step out on that field, be a catalyst for, like you said, Glenn, we're going a certain way, be a catalyst for that, and right now it is the most competitive paintball that I've seen at the pro level. It's crazy, especially the top 8 is really deep right now. And that's cool to see,
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I've always said it, and it's kind of, I doubt it'll ever happen. Who knows? But until you could pull up off the gate and shoot 5 paintballs and eliminate 5 people, like that's perfection. That means you've completely mastered it, and you do it every single time. Then there's nowhere to go. But like just a small example of something that I think is realistic, and I've definitely implemented in the last probably season. Typically when you shoot off the break, right, you're kind of aiming for the runner as a whole. Usually, I think, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some pros that have already been doing this. I don't think so. I've never heard it. But how often does that ball bounce, and not leave anything? So I'm like, if you're not aiming for the goggles, gun, or pack, then you're kind of not even aiming at the right target. So you got to like find in that space what level the goggles are going to be at, where the gun's going to be on the dive. And if you could really hone in on those kind of things, it's kind of similar to like, everybody hears Steph Curry in his practices. If he hits the rim, even if he makes the shot, he counts it as a miss in practice. maybe hits the rim. It's like, that's kind of crazy, but actually, is it kind of crazy? You're like really honing in the details and trying to make your, aim small, miss small kind of thing. So in practices, when we're doing the drills, this is something that always frustrates me too. And I learned this kind of from coaching teams. You'll do the breakout drills and, every little bounce, your teammates will raise their hand. Oh yeah, but it was a bounce, but it's like the bottom part of your legs, right? Well, that's not really a hit. It's probably not going to break in the tournament. If it does, it's like getting slid off, so why would you actually count that? Because it kind of leads you to a false sense of security of how many people you're going to be shooting on the break, So that's something that I've really tried to implement is like, where you're actually aiming on the runners. And if you're not hitting them in the hard spots, it's kind of, I'm kind of counting it as a miss.
See, that's that next level step, right? So like, I mean, when I had stopped, especially off the break, I always shot like spot shot. So like I would pick 2 or 3 things to like burst sort of stuff. But to your same point, yes, if that's a skill set you need now, that's next level because the nuances of that too, if you think about it, like where the guy, if the person's going to be running in the back line versus like, coming up to the front, like that changes and, a millimeter of like angle on your gun sort of thing, like
Absolutely.
to be able to accurately. So yes. Yeah. Definitely. There's going to be a lot more.
Well, as you know, the accuracy is dialed in on the pro field. At the end of those tournaments, nobody's missing those crucial shots. Everyone's dialed in, honed in off the break, really aware of what the opponent is doing as well. There's a ton of, because now we have all this video data, we can watch players an immense amount more than we used to, Glenn. So like you can just watch tons of data on a player and players and see little nuances that you can really pick up on in the current day right now as well.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think when we were talking about like that, it just reminded me of the story when we were like that next level of like what's better. And I think it was I want to say like the Russians that really, and all the Russian guys really put that really fine skill set to like that upped it for everybody, because it was like they could run and gun and hit you like with the first couple balls just running full speed. Right. And I think I saw like Fedorov one time. I remember I was like shooting the lane, just holding it, and then he just jumps over it. And I'm like, how? But then you start like trying to realize, and then like, okay, well, next time I was looking at like, oh, the paint's low, sort of thing. Like, so it's possible. And then so I have to counteract and be like going like this with my drill the whole time, shooting high and low, like as I'm holding a lane, sort of stuff. But it was,
Glenn, you talk about like Oliver just was one of those players that maybe had your number in those situations. Fedorov has always been the one person that he's probably done it 8-9 times on the run, put a ball on me where I'm like shooting the lane. And I'm like, how? Because I'm even waiting for it. Like when Fedorov lines up on the sideline, or not on the sideline, sorry, on the tape, like he's going to go out wide. Like, okay, he's going to run and shoot. So make sure you're kind of rolling back as you're shooting. And then I still get like clipped in the goggles. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And it's always been Fedorov. There's been nobody else in the league that has done it as many times as Fedorov has. And it's really impressive. That kind of goes to, what level could we get to as athletes? They do have the ability, and especially not as much now, but before Russian Legion, when a layout would come out, you would have multiple weeks, but they would have it set up Monday through Sunday, and they would be at the field. They lived at the field, and so it's like they were there 8, 9, 10 hours a day, go and do some reps, have a lunch break, do more reps, have a break, get some physical exercise in. So if you could really make this thing your entire life and you had a facility to be able to do this over and over and over, I mean, that would be the result, is you would be just so much more deadly, so much more accurate, so much more precise in all of your ball placement, your movements, your ability. Like I really think there are levels we could unlock, but unfortunately we are all forced to wear other hats as well, because being a professional paintball player doesn't pay all the bills. So, you have to do all these other things as well. And it just requires time. So one day I'm really excited to see, what we can get to when and if that day comes.
Yeah. Did either of you ever go out to the Russian Legion stuff, like either for a tryout?
I played on the Russian Legion in 2012, but it was like the year after they were kind of rebuilding the team and they weren't bringing the Americans over. Okay. Yeah.
To stay there. Okay.
Yeah. So what we would do is we would fly to wherever the event was, wherever the location was. We would fly there 2 weeks early, and we had practiced pretty much every single day. We would have paintball practice, physical training, like, you know, kind of a mini version of what they did over in Russia. So it was cool to get a taste of that. It was really professional, really well done. You know, there's like, you get to the tournament and it's so much easier to accept, you know, when things aren't going your way. And for me, that was a big deal at the time, because I always got frustrated when I felt like, you know, our teammates weren't putting in a similar amount of work. And so it would lead to me having a bad attitude, but really it was like accountability. And it was frustrating to me when I felt like, you know, maybe I was doing more work than others and then we're not getting the results we wanted. And, you know, being young and in that situation, it wasn't the best. But with the Russians is like, when things didn't go your way, you just got beat, and it was easy to accept. It's like, okay, well, we all put in the same amount of work together, and you really buy into the group as a whole. It makes it like, you make such a stronger bond. It really does. So it was a eye-opening experience to play with them. And definitely I took a lot from them that I still implement to this day.
Yeah, I had went out there right around that same time to like try out for them. I say loosely try out. I just actually wanted to go to Russia, but they're like, "We'll fly you out here for this tryout," sort of thing.
Nice.
I can't remember when it was, like Avalanche, infamous time frame for myself. But anyway, but I went out there and then I spent like 2 or 3 days at the facility. But it's that same concept that you're talking about. It's like they were there every day, like doing physical fitness stuff. Yeah, and they'd be drilling. And it was like every day. It was like their job. They would you know, go there. They would eat food, work out, all that other stuff. I remember I did their physical fitness like test stuff, and I failed every one of them miserably compared to them. Like they had me do like the sprints and stuff, and I was like, "Is that fast?" And they're like, "No." They're like, "How many pull-ups can you do?" I'm like, "Not many."
They're working.
That's funny.
They're working hard.
But it was cool. Yeah, I think I remember, like Mishka was still on the team at that time. And then it was cool though.
Mish is the best, dude. And Fedorov as well. The passion and the inspiration that they've brought to the game is crazy.
Yeah, and they're still good. Yeah, and they're just so good too. Like,
they're nasty.
It's insane.
Again, fundamentally just leaps and bounds above so many others, which is it's not a surprise. Again, it's just time behind the gun and putting in the work to do that. And it was really impressive in, you know, 2005, 6, and 7, those years where the Russian Legion was really dominant. I thought it was so impressive for them to come and perform like that when the only time they ever saw paintball in America was the best. The best players were in America. All the best teams were in America. They never got to see our skill level and how we played the game except for at tournaments, right? So everything they did was fundamental, you know, skill based. Yeah. And they were able to bridge that gap solely based on work ethic and you know, their technical ability, which I thought was incredible. You know, they took the game more serious than anybody. I think they're the ones that implemented film. You know, they would sit in the stands and film. Everyone thinks that they're filming the other team. They're not. I mean, at least not my time with them. And, you know, I had this conversation with them. They film themselves and only themselves. Right. And so, those meetings, they replay the film from the sideline, and as soon as somebody gets shot, they'll pause it and they ask the player, you know, what happened? How did you get shot? Okay, how can you fix it? Awesome. And then you move on, which is amazing because it eliminates all of the, like, you know, well, I was looking this way and, you know, it was only for 10 seconds. And then the coach is like, well, no, it was actually like 30 seconds. You were supposed to be looking the other way. What's right there on film? There's no room for arguing. It's like, you know, you just own your mistake. You talk about how to fix it, and then you move on. And that alone is like so professional. You know, it's something that all pro teams should be doing. And I think a lot of the teams use Go Sports, you know, a lot better now, but that accountability and their system has been proven.
Yeah. And I think too, remember, like there were some of the trendsetters of that, right? And then everybody followed suit, from like the coaching, the staff to the film, watching, scouting, critiquing sort of stuff. And again, look at any pro sport, or, you know, like look at an NFL game. As soon as they're on the sidelines, the teams are looking at like whatever their pads are of like the different plays and stuff like that. So it's like you learn a lot from one review, but also like hopefully understanding what the opponent might do.
Yeah. And now it's the norm in paintball. Like everyone is working really hard, especially at the pro level. And I know the divisional players are working their butts off too. I see it on a, you know, week in, week out basis with teams that we train with and just watching what's going on. And paintball as a whole has reached a really professional level which is amazing because we had Tom on the show, and there's some big conversations that are being had around paintball right now, and trying to legitimize this game, which, dude, boggles my mind that paintball still has no respect in the grand scheme of sports in all reality, and it truly deserves it because it's one of the most difficult sports that you'll play. And if you play and you're listening, and you obviously do play, how difficult it is to play paintball. So the mission at hand is just professionalizing this game so that we can get it the respect that it deserves as a sport, and a really difficult one at that.
Yeah, because think about it, like anybody that plays paintball or pro paintball, like if you took that same dedication and skill set, or like that drive for that skill set and applied to anything else, anybody will succeed at it, right? Like, because there's no like, you have to be that way to be the best and stay the best at paintball, because it is hard. Or anything. And that's what I say, like, like I pretty much, I mean, either of you or anybody else, like if you have that ingrained mentality to do well and improve, and like, you can't teach that, right? So, but you can easily apply that to other skill sets, sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, yeah, you could have been, I mean, we all could have been pro gamers, for instance, right? And been like, it's the same thing, just practice and stuff.
Yeah.
So it happens that
you could be rich, is what you're saying.
Dude, Glenn,
you know what? We are rich. We have so many amazing experiences. And I want to get into
alone.
Yeah. I want to get into that because I just simply don't know another sport or profession that really offers the opportunities that paintball has. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm not trying to sell what we've done. It's just so true. It's so true.
Agreed. I mean, I think I wouldn't trade paintball, the experience of paintball in the world, like the people I've met. Again, I haven't seen you guys in forever. We can just hop on, still talk. Like we've shared experiences as 20 plus years probably, sort of things. And it's like traveling the world. I mean, I enjoy it because you meet people from all different like cultural like backgrounds, like social economic status and things like that. So it's like,
you don't just meet them, but you get integrated with some of these families too, because whether it's like competing with foreign teams overseas or going and doing a clinic somewhere. I mean, so many times you're staying at their house, you're staying with the team. You're not in some Four Seasons hotel in Thailand. You're actually experiencing Thailand like a local with the locals, and they treat you like family, and paintball's in this sweet spot where we're just paintball players, but the reality is some of these paintball players look up to us in a pretty insane way, just like we did when we were younger to, some of the, superstars of the sport. And yet there's we're able to just connect because it doesn't feel like there's that gap, where you don't have that in other sports. Like someone's not just going to host, Patrick Mahomes at their house,
right?
And put him up. It's just not going to happen. But in this sport, it happens all the time. And you really get the most insane experiences that are irreplaceable. I mean, you literally cannot pay for a lot of, I'm sure you both have stories that are the same, but 100%. Some of the experiences that I've had, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can't pay for it. You can't buy them.
No. Yeah, I agree with you. I think, even just in the, regular everyday life, if you talk about, you bring up paintball, it's like that same, like, what? And then you explain it and they're like, no way, that's so cool. Yeah. And it's like stuff like that. So it's, it's very unique. And then, I can't, at least from a fun aspect, I'm sure maybe snowboarding and some other stuff like that might have some similar crossovers and stuff. But I agree with you.
What's one of your favorite experiences, like one of your fondest memories of traveling for paintball?
Oh man. Trying to think here. I think probably my fondest memory, just because it's so crazy. There's a lot of them, but
it's a family show, Glenn. It's a family show, all right? I know you're going crazy.
The kind of the absurdity of where paintball will take you is, I made it down to South Africa, right? I'm never going to South Africa in my life, ever. Yeah. And then, we went down there, taught a clinic. I was only supposed to go down there for, I think, maybe a week or so. And then I was like, this is awesome. I'm extending my stay as much as I can. And that same stuff, we just met some people that paintball went to a clinic, haven't really met them before, stayed at their house, hung out. Then they took us around, more parts of South Africa. And then we're just sitting, having breakfast at some awesome beach in South Africa. And it's first off, a helicopter just lands on the beach. And I'm like, this is legal? You can just do this here? Like, yeah. And then the guy was like, yeah, like there's like jets and stuff you can fly down here. And it's like Mark Gilbert. I don't know what he does now, but he was taking us around. But anyway, I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, there's like a little airport. So I was like, let's go. And then I got to fly in like a Russian MiG.
No way.
Literally just paid, I think at that time, maybe it was like $600 or something like that. It was just for the feel. I guess there was some collector of airplane dude, some rich dude in South Africa that just has airplanes. And he's like, yeah, just sign the waiver, pay for the fuel. And then I remember I was like, luckily enough, like we had to go to 3 different banks to pull as much money, like whatever they were doing out of the ATMs. Because at that time, like the dollar was like absurdly more. And he's like, we just got in a MiG jet and flew around. I'm like, this is legal? Like you can do this?
Whoa.
Paintball.
I know, right? Like I would never. It's just
That's
like
crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, this is.
Wait, so who was flying the plane?
The guy that owned it. Like,
okay.
But I got to take the joystick on the back. It was like a 2-seater and like.
Oh my Lord.
Oh, nice.
That's brave, bro. That's brave. I don't know if I'm messing around with all that.
That was like,
That's
again,
what
I
I'm
was like,
saying,
when
though.
you're young, you have no responsibilities, you don't care. Like, I mean, again, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what if they took care of that thing or not? But
Right.
whatever.
I did go cage diving with great white sharks in South Africa too, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm not doing that again. You know, I'm glad I did it once, but
Check.
I'm not doing that again. Check exactly. I remember I brought a GoPro and it was like on a stick, and you're in this cage where the bars are like 6 inches apart, right? And you're supposed to hold yourself under the water, and they throw all the chum over, like right over the cage, and then they have a huge fish head on like a hook, and they throw it out in the water and they reel it towards you. So the shark literally comes up and bites the cage. That's like the shot that they're trying to get. And what's crazy is as you're, I'm pushing myself down, but I only have one arm because I've also got the GoPro. Like your legs are like kind of going through the cage and stuff. And it's like, what am I doing? Get out of here. Get out of here. It was a crazy experience. I mean, we saw a massive great white shark. He came and gave us the whole show. It was wild.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure you could also eat through this cage if you wanted to.
Right. And I'm sure if he got bit now hindsight, if he got bit down there, I'm sure the medical care would be like, a little bit more sparse than would be in the US or something.
Yeah. That leg's gone for sure. But Cape Town is one of the greatest cities. It's still to this day one of my favorite cities in the world. Is that where you were, Glenn? Was it Cape Town?
I never made it quite down to Cape Town. I had to leave, but it was like I was probably like maybe an hour from Cape Town.
Got it.
South part of it.
Got it. Amazing place. It's a lot like San Diego, honestly. Beautiful. Really cool spot.
That's the riches of paintball right there. Stuff like that.
Totally.
Being able to travel around.
For me, the travel thing was because, I mean, to do that as like a grown adult now, like whatever with a family, that you're not going to be able to do it. 2, you're not going to have the energy. And then it's just the different local experiences, right? Like you're not going to be like to go find a host family that can just like show you around and like have a fun time and have a common bond.
Yeah. Are you still going to hop in that jet with you got kids now? You still doing that same jet ride?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I do have a life insurance policy now, so my wife will be fine. Like,
but that's what I mean. It's like,
Glenn, you should do it. You should really try it.
You should really do it.
No, but when you're young and you get those opportunities, if you're listening to this and you're, a youngster, just go and experience life. That's some of the greatest stuff that you'll ever have in your life. They're memories that you'll cherish forever. And, being rich isn't all that it's cooked up to be. Could you imagine actually being famous? Like, I know the money is
being rich and famous, two different things.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I wouldn't want like mega fame.
I couldn't even imagine like having my family and not being able to just go and like just go to the store or eat or so in a weird way we are extremely blessed in that regard. And like I'm actually like really grateful that I want paintball to be as big. I want to have Shaun Whites out there of the paintball industry and Tony Hawks of the paintball industry. It's obviously not at that level now. But in a weird way, I'm kind of grateful, and it's fun being able to be on this journey of building something really fun and exciting for the future. Because without a doubt, paintball is too much fun to ever go away. It's just too much fun. So some way or another, it will live on, and there will be new iterations as we move into the future. And that's what we're like. We're still in the process of all of this. It's a long journey that we're on.
Yeah, Glenn, I want to pitch the NXL's new idea to you and see what you think. They're going to test it out at World Cup. Tom Cole says it's not to replace our current format, which is relieving to me, but I mean, we'll see. Why else are you testing it? But their idea is you play a match against another team, and it's a 3-point match, or call it 3 periods. So it's 3 4-minute periods. Okay. Within one period, there's 2 ways to score. You either shoot all 5 and hit the buzzer. That's the current format. You completely win the point. That's worth 7 points. Or time expires and you have a player in what they're going to, like the advantage bunker. It'll probably be like the 50 snake or maybe the center 50. It'll change each event. Right. And that's worth 3 points. So that's basically it. Kind of simple.
So if you win the whole point, do you restart the point? So like in the first period, you win, you shoot all 5, you get 7 points, then you start over again?
Yeah, then you start over, then you go to the second period. So it ends the period. Okay. Yeah, you can't rack up points within the period. You're in a period, you're either going to get 3 points, 7 points, or what I propose is what happens if there's no points? What if the 4 minutes ends and you're not in the advantage bunker and you don't get points? That's kind of anticlimactic for the fans. Yeah.
Sounds confusing.
Agreed.
Per paintball as usual. But I guess it would make, I don't know. I perceive like a lot of just stalemates then would be my thought.
I do too. I think there could be I mean, you've done clinics. I'm sure. Have you done the 3-on-3 attack the 50 drill at your clinics in the past? That's like a staple.
Something similar, at least 3-on-3s, and then you're like one team's offense, one team's defense sort of thing, or the one that you just get to the 50.
Live for 10 seconds. Yeah. So anytime we do that drill, we tell we're like, hey, if we raise our hands, we say, 15 seconds, that means the other team is in the 50. Do whatever you can to get them off the field. That would kind of be a similar thing here. And you're just watching people like run into guns. Imagine pros that are really good and understand zone control. Like, I just feel like it's going to be
that's true,
kind of chaotic and silly,
especially if it's like at a front bunker sort of thing, and then you're going to get. Now that you say that, it's going to be a mess because then you're going to have the reffing calls of who shot who first,
right?
Like, is it a penalty? Did I get him before I made the bunker? And like, there's no, at least to my knowledge, there's the replay isn't as good enough to like be that instantaneous.
Yeah.
I'm going to go say that's going to be a little bit of a debacle to really make that work.
I don't love it, but I'm open to it. We're testing it, like I said, at World Cup. So the tournament starts on Thursday, and they're going to do so on Wednesday instead of practicing. I think a lot of the pro teams. Are you guys going to play it, Ty?
I believe so.
Yeah. So we're all going to enter like the practice tournament and try this format. So I'll reserve my total judgment until we play it. See if it's fun. See how the strategy is. But it seems a little weird to me.
It almost sounds better to just take out that 3-point thing and just do some periods and just play and then call it.
I came up with a pretty cool idea, Glenn. Let me know what you think of this. If at any point in the match, so you keep the game the same, the way it is now, the only thing you change is if at any point in the match, a point is scored in 30 seconds or less. The time is, I've said 24 seconds, 30 seconds, kind of figure out where that is. I think 30 is probably a little better than 24. If a point is scored in 30 seconds or less, it's worth 2 points. So it would be kind of cool because you can open up with like a super fast attempt, which would be exciting. And at the end of the game, if it's like 5-1 with 1:10 to go, the game's not over. You still have your starters in. I was watching football and it's like, a team's up by 2 touchdowns and there's 2.5 minutes left and they still have all their starters in because it's like anything could happen. You could have a Hail Mary touchdown, onside kick, and the other team's right back in it.
That's good. Yeah. And it incentivizes a quick point too. So it's going to create more action sort of thing. That's good. Yeah. Because if not, I mean, I'll take like damage, for example, right? Like they can lock down a field and just not get shot or just grind down the clock very well, that sort of stuff. So it's, it adds a different uniqueness to it.
It really does. I love it. And
I love it too. Yeah.
In regards to the big thing is concessions. I think that's one of the big topics that is under scrutiny is the whole concession thing, because it's very confusing for a viewer to know why did it end? You know? So I think that's something that Tom is working on as well.
But
Is
don't you think like that's such an amazing part of strategy and a hard thing to fix? If you take away the concession, then like, so a point just has to end. The refs have to be the ones to decide when all the players are eliminated. Otherwise, you know, the other team can obviously just burn the clock. It's weird. It leaves this like arbitrary timing. Whereas I think we have technology. Technology's out there. When there's a concession, there should be one on Go Sports and in person, a light that pops up that's like, you know, this team conceded, and just explain what it is. I don't see why that's so confusing. I don't buy that. I think it's like, that's a very easy thing to explain to people. Well, it's clock management. You know, the chances of this team winning that point were very low. So the coach decided to concede and leave more clock time. Like, that's an opportunity to explain the depths of our game and strategy. I look at it as an opportunity rather than something that's you know, boring for fans to watch. This like 3-period system. Imagine if one of the periods, the 4 minutes expires because everyone's in like trying to watch the advantage bunker, and the time expires and it's a 4-on-4, and all of a sudden everybody gets up and walks back to the pit and there's no point scored. The fans are like, huh? Like, that was really dumb. I mean, yeah, I'm trying so hard not to be like too hypercritical. I just really don't like it. I just really don't like it. I mean,
is it still the same where like, I mean, the NXL should consult the teams that are playing this and the players and like come up with a fun format rather than like, there you go.
You know, I gotta say, Tom usually does a pretty great job of it. And I also understand when you're running a business, you can't ask for everyone's opinion all the time. Otherwise, you're just never going to get anywhere. But this is like a major one that I feel like all of a sudden was a thing. And I was like, what? Like, who did they talk to about this? Who thought this was a good idea? And again, if it's I will circle back because I'm giving it a lot of negativity. I will circle back. If it's not in place of what we're currently doing, if maybe it's like a one-off thing or even twice a year, because it's like better to film, and it's a better package thing to sell, then I'm all in on it. Cool. I'm good with that, I guess. But otherwise, I just don't love it. And I don't understand, you know, the drastic changes.
Yeah.
That's the big picture is that we are trying to still build this game the right way. And it's crazy. We're like baseball when baseball was still trying to figure out, all right, so where are we putting these bases? Yeah, right here. All right, distance, we got the distance worked out. You know, like football, like how many yards is it to get the first down? Is that what we're calling it? You know, like, okay,
if you think about those, like any of like a baseball or football, like those rules are insane.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, I mean, you learn it, right? You have to learn it. But
exactly.
Like, who made those up? Like, I mean,
yeah,
dude, Glenn, yes, you just alluded to something I've talked about so much on the show is everyone says paintball's so confusing. No, they just don't know it. They just don't know it. It's not that confusing. When I first started watching football with my dad, I was like, this is so confusing. My girlfriend, we watch football all the time. She loves the Chiefs. She still doesn't understand first downs, which is like crazy. You know, I'm like, how do you not get it? How do you not understand? You know, you have 3 attempts. And she's like, well, why is there a 4th down? Then I'm like, well, that's strategy. Like, they can go for it. They do have 4th, but they usually have to kick it. So
it's still confusing. Like, if you really think about it, it is very confusing.
It's very confusing. It's just normalized. Yes, it's just normalized because people understand it. They do a great job with commentary. They do a great job of there's so much content out. You know, kids grow up playing it, so parents are involved from it. It's not that our game's too confusing. It's that we haven't done the best job of explaining it, and we haven't given it enough time. That's my I believe in that so wholeheartedly. I think our game is great the way it is. I really do. I think there's so much opportunity to do a better job of showcasing it and explaining it, you know, and having content out to explain it.
Definitely. I still think the biggest thing for a spectator stuff is every pro player and team should be shooting like bright yellow paintballs.
Oh,
we got that. We got it. So it's going to be pink though, but yes.
It doesn't matter.
Yes.
It's like, it's the brightest thing. This is like day one. Like, I'm like, why? Like, if I can barely, and I'm playing the game, if I can barely see a paintball coming to hit me, like the fans can't see it. They're like,
legend.
Man, you need, like, freaking white.
Way to go, dude! I'm giving you a real life clap. This is a real one.
You've been listening to PTG, haven't you?
Yeah.
secretly.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
funny
like
because that's been like a huge one. And
Yeah.
oh, good. Finally.
as of as of
20 years,
recently,
20 years later, I think was probably somebody brought this topic up and they finally figured it out.
I
getting it
think
going.
World Cup will be the first event where they do it. I'm not sure, actually. I know that was originally what Tom said, but maybe it'll get pushed next year. But yeah, it's actually a great idea all around. They're going to call it the NXL Pro Pink. So all the brands will be able to have their NXL Pro Pink ball. It's like the professional ball. So they could, any case they sell to, they're going to have to pay a little fee to the NXL. Tom says likely that can come back to the pros. We'll see. But, I think it's a fantastic idea. It'll be good for filming, good for recording. If, yeah, all in on it.
Hey Glenn,
Good,
I
Finally.
know, man. That's a huge one because remember Hellfire back in the day, that bright orange ball, how cool it was to shoot and play with like that bright paint.
100%.
It's going to be amazing.
Just again, from a spectator point of view, like they want to be able to see the just thousands of paintballs flying and then like be able to see, like what you're shooting at, sort of things.
Yeah.
The film looks amazing with it too for all of the filming capabilities. It's going to be huge. And then cool. I do want to just run through the teams that you've played for. We obviously talked about when you started out with KAPP, Avalanche, and then did it go to Infamous after Avalanche?
Excessive after Excessive, right. And then when Excessive disbanded a little bit, I went to Bushwhackers for like one event.
Oh yeah.
And then Infamous after that, and then Dynasty.
And then you ended your career with Dynasty. And what year did you retire?
Gosh, I want to say it's like 2014, 2013.
It's right around there. Yeah.
It's been a while. I actually went to go play at Velocity, Marcelo, with Eric Hunter. Drug me out there to go play some paintball.
Nice.
I get out there, my gun doesn't work. My tank's like 10 years out of it. Hydro expired. So luckily there's this really nice guy like that was parked next to us that had an extra gun, so I just borrowed his stuff.
Oh, tight.
It's so funny. Nice. I'm like, ooh, gosh, Hydro.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That's probably a good safety thing.
That's crazy. He was like, Glenn Takamoto?
No, he didn't know. He didn't recognize
like,
us. No, he didn't. It was funny though. So it was
the Bushwhackers. Was the Bornstein brothers on the team when you were on there?
I don't think so. I think it was right before them.
Yeah.
Gosh, okay. I forget who. It was literally one event, I think, that I played, and then and that was it.
And then Excessive. You were on Excessive during the crazy days, the height of it all.
Yep. That was
walk
fun.
us through that.
Excessive was fun. That was one of the heyday stuff. We were supposed to get big sponsorship from outside paintball industry sort of thing. We were assembled to beat Dynasty and take them on and be a top team, which we did. Yeah. So it was a fun time. It was an interesting time. Again, got to learn more about just people, life, business things, that decisions. And then it was, I'm trying to think, it was about a year. Man, my brain's so foggy at this point of like remembering the time periods, but we had a good run. And then it all just kind of came crumbling down.
Well, it was entertaining to say the least. Watching all those games, y'all duking it out. I was on Oakland at the time, and that was when we had the separation of leagues, where like the Assassins and Miami Effect and everybody were over in one area, and then there was
NXL and everything else.
You guys duking it out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Those were wild times if you think about it. There's so many different formats, different leagues. You had Europe going on. I mean, it's a fun time to play, definitely, because you got exposed to a lot of different playing styles, right? 7-man's a lot different than an X-Ball type format.
True. And we're still, I mean, even in this current day and age, we are still in the experiment phase. We're still figuring this thing out. But it's amazing to see so much passion behind it. So many people really care. There's a lot of people out there that really care about paintball and making this thing work and doing whatever it takes to make it work. And I want to ask about Excessive. What was the chemistry like in the team? Like, you guys all knew you were there, assembled, to do the mission of winning tournaments. What was the chemistry like in there?
I think it was good. It was, again, the common bond was we wanted to win, right? And we wanted to be the number one team. I think the divide happened is more just the the differences of just personalities in general, right? Like of everybody in the group had different things. We all kind of came from, I mean, at least everybody from the Avalanche side, we were like the leaders on the team. And then same thing with even like Rich and all those other guys from their side, like they're the leaders, running the team sort of stuff. So it was the drive to win, the expectation to win was huge. And then we just trying to think, the divide started mainly happening again. Money is a big thing. But like when all the promises and things of the nature weren't starting to come to fruition,
it exploded.
Yeah, it's kind of went downhill. So it was, it was one of those ones. It's paintball, right? Like there's just so many. I think hopefully, I feel like nothing ever normalizes in paintball. It's just always like a continuous, especially when it comes to like sponsorships and things of that nature. But but that was a common thing. Like we were all there to win. So regardless of how personalities aside from the internal aspect, we went out there and did our job.
And you guys did. You did win. And not many pro teams can say that they have gotten a win. And you've gotten quite a few of them out there, Glenn. I know. When you were with Infamous, who was on that team?
We changed a lot, but I mean, it was like Travis, LB.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that was like the initial like Rusty, JR. When we were a little more in the heyday sort of aspects.
Gator.
Yeah, Gator. Shane Howe played with us for a little bit. Like remember Gino. I'm missing a bunch of other people, but so that was fun. That was a wild time too because Infamous just went out there and just had fun.
J-Rab played on that team too, I think.
Right? Yeah, J-Rab. Yeah. I think I remember that was when J-Rab was like he was finding his groove, right? Like he was nobody knew if he was really going to be as good as now hindsight, right? Like one of the best players sort of thing. But at that time he was finding his groove coming out, and then and he got picked on a lot on that team because he was a young kid.
Probably made him who he is, though.
Yeah, I mean, Rab's, being Rab's son and stuff like that. So, but he was. There was a fair amount of people I think that kind of cycled through Infamous.
Lasoya was on the team. I mean, I know he was running through there.
Lasoya and stuff. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, that was a crazy team.
And I think Infamous was one of the ones where it wasn't as. Some people wanted to win, some people didn't care, sort of thing. So it's like that's that dynamic. Like you want to win, but do you really want to win? Sort of stuff.
It was Rage City, and you guys had like stencils. I know Duffy, had stencils, and you guys would all be running around, tagging stuff.
That was like the fun times. You create your own kind of like brand or just a different kind of thing. I mean, that's right around when like HK pretty much started getting their footing and things. Is that it's that the younger crowd versus the old timers, and making that obnoxious of seeing things of the paintball scene. But now it's
no, I want to see the stencils make a comeback. I thought that was a great idea.
Dude, Yosh stencils so much of his stuff, his gear bags, his tanks.
I thought for a while I thought you couldn't, right? Like you had to like have your shirt tucked in and stuff like that. So it's like you couldn't really, other than your jersey, like there's nothing really else to do.
Yeah. You can do it for practice though.
That's true.
Yeah, practice. You make little fashion statements out of practice.
That's very true.
Glenn, did you go from Infamous to Dynasty? Is that how it worked?
Yes. Yep.
And how did that transition happen? How did you get on Dynasty?
So at the time, I'm trying to think, Infamous to Dynasty, it was a little bit, I think I wanted to win. So it was that divide of like, I wanted to play for a serious team, a little more serious, and that concept and win and be on the top team. I'd also made a more personal decision to, I think at that time, Infamous was going to start having their practice outside SoCal a little more. So like a little bit more travel. But I was going back to school at that point. So then a lot of the guys in Dynasty are still San Diego based. So I was able to essentially say like, I want to play with you, but I also need to make sure I can have flexibility in like schedules and stuff like that. So I could finish up school. So, and they were fine with it. So it was more of like, it was a good meshing of, like I got to play for a top team. They worked with the schedule stuff. I wasn't like demanding money or gear from any of them. I just like wanted to play. And then, was a good run. So and
Amazing.
that was my
And
dynasty.
What year was
So-
that? Do you remember?
Gosh, 2011-ish, maybe 2010-ish or something around there, I think.
Mhm.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
And the
we had a good-
schooling,
Yep.
the schooling you were doing was the water heater repair schooling. Is that where you're?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I have for all the people out there, the joke was I would go out and get drunk sometimes and then be like, oh, my water heater broke.
My
Which
water
the
heater.
one day actually my water heater did break and I actually had to stay home from practice. I wasn't actually hungover.
Yeah.
But that
We
was
were
a
like,
joke.
yeah, Glenn, whatever you say, buddy.
Whatever you say.
It's
Yeah.
funny because that joke still is a running joke on the team. My water heater, actually, Tyler knows it's been a thing. The last like 4 years, it's broken like 3 times, legitimately.
Right.
I'm like, what the hell?
You gotta get it fixed. You actually have to get it fixed. You can't
Yeah, and
have it.
I was late to a practice one morning because of that, and everyone's like, "What?
Yeah.
Really?
I know, it's
You're
still-
full of it." I'm like, "No, seriously, look, it's flooding."
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh man. It
Yeah,
was a
I
good
had
joke.
just early days of Dynasty, like when I think you had been on the team for a little while before I got on the team, Glenn,
Right.
when me, Short, and Kyle came on the squad. And then it was just the best times ever. We had such a good crew of people hanging out. And, you know, sometimes we would go out and enjoy a couple beverages. And then Glenn's water heater would all of a sudden break. And we'd be like, where's Glenn the next morning? You know,
Water heater's broken.
Glenn.
That's great.
And you think about those are fun times because it was like we still got to have like we're there for the common mission, right? Because like everybody there wanted to win.
Of course.
But also was able to have a little bit of off field
And that
enjoyment.
is so important, Glenn. I mean, even right now, that has not changed. You got to be having fun with your teammates. And I know that's why you had a ton of success in your career, Glenn, because you had fun. You know, you made the experience an enjoyable one. You worked hard, you cared about it, but you also enjoyed it a lot. And when you enjoy something, as you know, you're going to probably do a lot better at it too. Finding that drive from the joy of doing it, from being around your brothers, your sisters, your teammates, you know, everybody out there. It's one of those experiences that you don't really know how good it is until you kind of don't have it anymore. And you're like, whoa, you know, like we had something really special there. The paintball industry is a very unique sports industry. So it's still very important to keep having fun and do it in a growth manner, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Just the team camaraderie. I mean, again, sports in general, just playing with teammates and going through the same ups and downs, whether it's from actually competitive side or just off the field, right? You know, like a lot of the fun conversations are just when you're stretching or just hanging out, just talking about life or whatever sort of thing that comes your way.
Yeah.
That's good just to have a good balanced overall life of having people you're comfortable with. You can also get advice from, lean on,
Absolutely.
reach out to, sort of stuff. So that's
I think that's a crucial part of winning. With the teams that I coach, I'm kind of known as like the drill sergeant. I'm usually pretty strict. You know, we start really early. We have long days. We work really hard. But there's been practices where I'm like, all right, we're ending early. We're going to go and do something fun together. And they look at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we did everything we need to today. Let's go have fun. Let's go do something fun as a team. And it's a really important part of the process. You know, it can't all just be this like crazy work, no fun, to where it's like this, job that you dread going to. You have to enjoy it, and those times where you are building chemistry and friendships with your teammates, those are just as important as the training. They really are. In many parts of it, like this game, it's a lot about trust and communication on the field and wanting to, compete for your teammates and be there for your teammates. So you need to get along with them. You need to build those relationships. The better those relationships, the more that your teammates, the better you play together on the field, so it's a very important part of the process. And I think like I have this reputation as a coach of being really strict, even in my clinics, it's usually pretty strict. And so they're always surprised when I think there's even been a tournament with like my New York team a couple years ago where it was a 2-day tournament. And the first night, we had this like serious meeting and our practices were serious. And then the first day of the tournament, we played terrible. Like the whole team was just, and everyone's like, I don't know what tonight's going to look like. And I was like, we're not having a meeting. We're like going to go play mini golf. We're just not even talking about paintball, and turned it around and went and won the tournament the next day, you know, and
Nice.
it's important sometimes to shift things, you know, and I think as a coach, it's kind of your job to recognize when you do need to make those shifts. You know, you need to recognize when like too much is too much, and when it's time to have a little bit of fun and kind of lighten the mood, and then conversely, when it's time to rein everybody in and get everybody back on the same page.
Yeah, agree with you 100%.
Yep. And you kind of hit on going to school and playing paintball. I want to talk about that. How did you navigate that, like juggling? Because let everybody know you're a smart individual, Glenn. You went to school, my man.
It was tough, you know, like it was a sacrifice to want to be, you know, the top of the sport for paintball, but also on the side finish up school. But I mean, I'd schedule my classes, schedule around my paintball schedule as much as I could. I made up a lot of excuses for missing class. You know, bribed a lot of classmates to help out with you know, getting notes and things like that. But
whatever it takes.
Yeah, you know, like when there's a will, there's a way for anything, right?
Yeah.
So it's just if you're motivated enough to do anything, you'll figure out a path forward. But yeah, I distinctly remember when I was playing some of the European events, I would have a class on like Thursday. I'd hop on a plane, go fly to Europe, play like the little Eastern European, and then fly home Monday and go straight to class, like right from that.
Jeez.
So it was like, but again, it was a small time frame in the grand scheme of things, just to get it done. Again, having a family now, would never be able to do that. Like I think I was able to do it when I was younger, sort of stuff. But yeah, as long as you have motivation and drive, you can get it.
And what water heater degree do you have?
I have my business undergrad, and then I have a master's in business as well.
There we go.
Nice.
Sick, dude. Congratulations, Glenn. That's monumental, man.
Glenn, my last question before we hop into the Discord, because again, you know, you're on a little bit of a time frame today.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Discord have questions for you. But what was your favorite tournament that you won? Most memorable? Is there one that you hold above the others?
I think it was my first pro win was definitely my favorite. And that was when we were on Avalanche and we beat Infamous. That was like when like Lasoya and all the top Infamous guys were on that team.
Oh,
so it was like, and that was our, you know, first year. Was our first year pro? I think it was our first year pro, but it was like we were still trying to climb, right? To get one to pro. So we made pro, but then now you got to win something. So it was like that feeling was probably the best feeling as far as a tournament win. Because you've been working forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And you've been dreaming, and that drive because you want to succeed and you want to win, you want to stay on top of that podium and beat the best. So that was probably my most memorable. I mean, they're all fun, you know, once you win, then you want to win more.
Of course.
And then it's like, I want to win this one. I want to win the series. I want to win World Cup. I want to win. I don't like losing, sort of thing.
Yeah. And we've won multiple tournaments together and a series title together that I'll cherish forever, Glenn. And
those Dynasty years were a fun ride.
Yeah, we were going for it. And you know, it is contagious. Once you get a win, man, it's like it's all you can think about. It drives your wheels, and really that's something that a lot of pro players, you know, they will never accomplish. But once you get pro, you can't be satisfied with going pro. You've got to be ready for the long haul, and it could take a while being pro before you get a win. I know it took me years and years and years before I got a pro win. But then once you are able to accomplish that, now you have new frontiers, new things that you need to try to accomplish.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. And I want to, before we go to Discord, I just want to pick your brain on reading seams on the paintball field, Glenn, because you're one of the best to ever do that. I would see you in 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, 4-on-1s. I don't care how many of them were out there. You would read these seams and split seams and catch players sleeping all the time. How did you make that kind of stuff happen so frequently?
I think it goes back to that skill set thing where you learn, right? And thinking back when I first started playing paintball, I don't remember who I was talking with. It was a pro player, but I saw him do something of the same kind of concept, and they're like, well, in my head, I can imagine or know like what every player on the other opponent team's doing, right? Like just by sensing whatever it is. And I'm like, that's impossible. Like how? Even when I was teaching clinics and stuff, people are like, what makes a good paintball player? I'm like, honestly your head, like just thinking. Like you can have a really good skill set, like an actual physical snap shooting, whatever stuff. But the thinking part of the game is like understanding where the player might be on the field, what their goals are, to the part of the scouting, right? Like I could try to as much understand who I was playing against, what their, typical playing style is. So it's like if you played against a snake person, that all they do is they're going to be aggressive. So you take that into account, but just understanding, like looking at the field, seeing where paint streams are coming from, taking information from your teammates, and putting it together. All that in my brain, somehow I can piece it together. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, and again, same thing that goes on in your heads as well, but it probably just comes from all the reps of doing it. And then again, you get it wrong a lot too. It's not like you get it right all the time.
That's
so
right.
It's learning from the times you're like, oh, I thought he was going to do this, or I thought he was going to do that, or maybe I shouldn't have done that.
And then having the cojones to send
just do it. Yeah. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of like predictability, right? It's like recognizing where your team is on the field. And so if you were in the other team's shoes and you were one of all of those players, what would you be doing to capitalize on that advantage or disadvantage? And if you could process that information, you can find a seam, because especially if you're right with scouting, it's like, do players tend to do a good job of, containing the outside? If they're really good at wrapping, if they own the wire, then there might be a move up the middle. If they're a player that's not disciplined and goes back and forth, you might be able to get out to the corner and then catch them on the wire when they come back to the tape. It really is predictability and processing that information almost before the opponent does. You're like processing their move before them or at the same time as them and able to make a counter, right, which is really done through experience. You can't expedite that process. You need to see reps. You need to watch a lot of film. You need a lot of time behind the gun.
It's being comfortable in like your ability, right? Like for us is probably now second nature, where you can stick your head outside of a bunker and then be pretty comfortable just hanging out, right? Until somebody shoots at you, sort of stuff, where it's, you don't get that comfortable out the gate, right? Like, because most people you're hiding and they're thinking about a million different things, but like, you can just look over the bunker and until somebody shoots at you and you see the paintball coming and you duck.
Well, that's like what you said to open this conversation up. You probably shot like 5 paintballs and you were scared just to death out there, but the fear, it kind of drives you back. You're like, that was exhilarating. That I was kind of a little bit scared there. And it gives you this crazy feeling. And then the more and more you play, that feeling matures and you're able to read those seams like you're talking about. And it is a mass. There we go. Down. That's right.
It's like, again, we can all look and then you can see where a paint stream's coming from. Like, so you can understand the guy shooting outside, inside, or like you see a bunker and you can see a little puff of the barrel sort of stuff. All those little nuances that, you probably would miss when you're starting out are things you have to hone in on, because those are all bits of information that compile the whole of whatever game, whatever match you're playing.
Absolutely.
It's a consumption of mass quantities of information in the mind, and then you have to like build a picture in your brain of what's going on and hope that you built the right picture and are able to send it from that.
Yep, definitely.
It was funny, before the show, I was on the phone with Tyler and I was like, Glenn was like the ultimate tag player, like just the king of never getting shot, like never getting discovered and always getting the opponent, like your survivability was just so good, and that's something that, people undervalue. We talk about it on the show all the time, but survivability is so important. You could live and then connect on those big shots, and those big shots, a lot of it comes from just kind of predicting what the other team's going to do. And you put a stream where you think they're going to try to go, and you're like one step ahead. Those are the best players in the world, in my opinion.
And then too, understanding like when to turn it on and turn it off, right? Like, I think people scouted me, they didn't understand that I wasn't the most dominant sort of thing, but to switch it up sometimes, right? Like if you need to do it. Yeah. So it's like, if we played each other and you're in the 50, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably not going to try to run you down, but if somehow
got to make them respect it.
You got to switch it up sometimes, and then just add some variability into it.
Absolutely.
That's right.
That's huge. Yeah.
Don't get predictable out there. That is super key. All right, let's hop into
that should be your mantra, Tyler.
you know, it is hard because there's a lot of people watching and sharing information. So you have to be super mindful of what you're talking about, Glenn. And it's very important to switch it up. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gotta stay froggy out there and keeping them guessing.
Glenn, do you still watch the tournaments? Do you tune into Go Sports or?
I haven't in probably the past year or two. I used to try to watch them a little bit more diligently, but
just out of like entertainment and curiosity, or were you helping any teams? Or
no, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't helping any teams. I still enjoy I still enjoy paintball. Yeah. I still enjoy the competitiveness. Like I awesome. Especially like playing with a lot of the people that are still playing. It's fun to watch. You know, like the skill sets and things.
He's making a comeback.
Man, I played that walk on and I tried to do a snapshot and I think I was like 10 feet to the right of the guy or something like that. I was like, ooh.
It's funny. I mean, it's such a perishable skill. I mean, obviously Oliver came back, played World Cup with us last year. It was like all the cards aligned for him. The field was set up. It was perfect. It like couldn't be more perfect. Yeah. And then he played again this year, but you could tell like the gap in the skill in gunfighting, right? He still has it up here mentally, like just insane. The moves he was making in practice, like the very first point against Aftermath, you know, they'd been practicing all morning. We get out there, don't really know the field at all. And he makes this insane move and bunkers like 3 people, you know, like comes out of the snake. You're like, I mean, you really can't teach that. That's just years and years of experience and creativity. And that's Oliver Lang. But the gunfight and that stuff is like, it's evolved as well. And he still has this kind of form that's a little outdated, you know, and we saw in Philly, it got just a little bit exposed, you know, and it's just the way sports are, you know, and you might not like when we have these conversations now of who would be better in other sports. And it's like a 50-year gap. It's like the player now is going to be better. You know, it's it's just the way things evolve. And it's, you know, the same with paintball and snap shooting is certainly a perishable skill. I notice if I'm not training at least once a week on it, it takes some time to kind of really get it back into like that zone, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of playing last weekend from the Discord, Stangman 510. So Matt L, when he found out we were having Glenn on the show, he goes, "What? No way. I was just playing with his brother Keith yesterday at the Paintball Jungle in Northern California."
Yeah, my brother still plays. Yeah.
I didn't even know you had a brother that played.
Yeah. We started playing when we were first together, you know, like growing up sort of thing. And then he took a kind of a break from paintball for a while, but he's got back into it probably last, you know, like 3 or 4 years, a little more stuff. He'll go to, he's hit me up a couple times. Like, I think they'll go to some of the tournaments. I think with the team he's on sort of thing. But awesome. to be fair, like my brother is like, we would joke about this. Like he was the better skill set player. Like his snapshot was better than mine. Like the form was better than mine, sort of thing. When we started to play the tournaments, he went to college and I went the paintball route.
Damn.
Hey, you still got the degree and you're playing. You guys are all playing,
Thanks.
And that's amazing. Yeah. I love to hear that he's out there. All right, we got Inspired Paintball. Glenn, in his view, you are a true paintball legend. So excited that you're on the show. What was your favorite team you played for, and what was your favorite marker of all time?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. You know, like actually all the teams I played for were awesome in that sense. I think if I have to just choose one, it's going to be the obligatory. I have to go with Dynasty just because they're the best well-known team. And I think I looked up to them a little bit when I very first started playing paintball. So it's kind of like they're the pinnacle, right? Like they're the pinnacle of the pro paintball scene. So I think I'll go with them. And then, you know, we won a fair amount of tournaments, getting to play with like great players, everybody, you know, like with Oliver and then like Ryan, Alex and Yosh and all those guys that, you know, I played against them for so long. And then, you know, being able to jump on a team with them was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Oh gosh, favorite marker. Got to give a shout out to Planet Eclipse. I think they're you know, Leds and all of them and Jack. For whatever reason, the teams I've always played with are all Planet Eclipse teams for the most part. But they're just good dudes, good company. Yeah, I think the Geos for me were the spool valve Geos shot well.
Yeah, and that was when you still had the macro lines and all that when you were
ripping
them.
I mean, the fun guns were like the Bob Longs, Intimidators with, you know, shooter boards and, you know, like programmable. Yeah. those are. But yeah, I think I'd have to go with the Planet Eclipse guns.
Nice. All right.
Now there's so many new guns out. I don't even know. I know. Like Field One has their guns now. I never really got to shoot those.
They're Bob Long guns.
Right.
Yeah.
Luxes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the new era. Made some tweaks, and then they have been doing really well. Obviously, the team Dynasty's been shooting them, doing good.
Right.
And TM40s
nice.
are amazing markers. That's what I'm shooting these days. I think they're going to be dropping some new stuff at World Cup too, so be on the lookout for that if you're going out to Florida.
Nice. All right, Glenn, Shadow, he wants to know, how hard was it to leave the sport, and could you elaborate on the struggles and joys of embarking on a new journey?
It was pretty tough. I've been playing paintball for so long, and I made so many, myself as a player, being a top player, and then just that brand around it. It was definitely a tough decision to leave. The first year I think was the hardest. I think just because, again, the lifestyle too, right? Like you're every weekend practicing, maybe traveling to a tournament sort of thing.
Friends. Yeah.
It's like you're always you're either seeing people, in a practice, or you're seeing people at tournaments. Again, that wide reach of paintball, everybody from around the country, gets together. So you're always seeing people. Mm-hmm. So I think that was probably the hardest. Definitely didn't miss it. What was the other part of the question?
Just elaborate on the struggles and joys of embarking on a new journey.
So I think the joys would be, well, one, family life, although it's stressful and tiring and expensive. Tyler can probably attest to that. But yeah, it's different, right? So it's like you're embarking on a new journey sort of thing. That's fresh and new. I think from a working, joining the corporate world, working, same thing. I had to start from the bottom of the corporate world, right? Because nobody, just like in paintball, you got to start from the bottom and get to the top.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it was a little interesting to have to get the experience needed and then work your way up. But I mean, having a nice steady paycheck was, at least good in that concept.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I got to say, man, you're an amazing dad. You have a beautiful fam, and shout out to the whole Eagle fam. And we do have Fab, who has this question. Glenn, I recall from a past paintball video, you mentioned some guys called you Eagle. After learning you were an Eagle Scout, and he is an Eagle himself, Tom Cole recently did a paintball booth at the National Jamboree for the Boy Scouts. If the Boy Scouts asked you what the requirements should be to earn a paintball merit badge, what would you say?
Oh my gosh. Trying to think what it was to do merit badges.
Because Eagle Scout is not easy to attain. You had to crush it to get that level.
I was trying to think that for the Eagle Scout, you did all this stuff through Scouts, you earn the merit badges, and you do like a project at the end of it to do it. I think the badge itself for a paintball thing would just be getting out there and just playing paintball, right? Like, understanding. I mean, you got to
get a 2-pack.
Yeah, just going out and playing paintball, maybe just understanding some of the workings of a paintball gun. You learn some things in that concept, but
yeah,
I would just say go out there and play.
Heck yeah, play the game.
Right.
Play the game.
I think for the longest time too, the Boy Scouts didn't think paintball was an approved activity, but I want to say that changed not too long ago. So at least
just recently, actually, we just barely are getting into that area and being able to connect with them on paintball. And Tom has done a tremendous job in bridging all that. So he was just out there, and how many players were there, March? It was crazy, right? It was an absurd amount of people.
I don't remember. Yeah, it was. I want to say like 5,000. It was something crazy.
That's cool.
Maybe 30,000. It was huge. It was massive.
I mean, Scouts would be a good, if they could somehow integrate paintball into Scouts. I mean, it's a good outing for one, just team building and getting people. It's outdoors. Yeah. I mean, sure, you're not doing the best for the environment, but you're at least outdoors.
I think, and I don't know if paintball has gotten approved, because I know that they couldn't play paintball at this event, but they were able to set up like a target shooting course with paintball guns.
Oh, so maybe they did it that way, because I know so you could do archery and gun shooting, right?
Right.
Yeah. Funny, like you can shoot a gun at a target.
It's crazy.
You can't shoot a paintball at somebody. But I think eventually we get there.
All right, Glenn, Jay Lamb, when he heard that you were going to be on the show, he goes, bro, that's one of my favorite players ever. No way. Then he says, Glenn, I didn't get to meet you in person at events. Would love to get one of your jerseys. Would that be possible? You have any for sale? Any old jerseys laying
I
around?
have to look. I think I gave most of mine away at this point.
Okay.
Let me look.
Well, give one to me. I need one of those.
Yeah, I have a box that I'll take a peek and see what I have.
Dude, what you need to do is do a limited run like Matty Marshall did of one of those. It's like people would love to have some Glenn stuff.
Seriously.
And then my question is from JM17. Glenn, what do you believe the future holds for the sport of paintball, and what would you like to see happen in the paintball world in the coming years?
I think the future is bright, right? Like there's a big enough following. There will always be interest in paintball. It's, again, I think Tyler, you and even Marcel, you'd alluded to it. We're still in that finding what's going to catch, right, the broader audience and how you can make it in a digestible format. And I think just knowing from the paintball world or being around like the tournament scene and just some of the manufacturers and stuff, like everybody just needs to get on board a little more.
Agreed.
I feel like all the companies, a lot of them are always just fighting against each other, from like an owner dispute or whatever kind of thing. Just so it's like, again, the paintballs we shouldn't be infighting this much if we're trying to grow the sport sort of stuff. Like we're not that big enough to having little spats. So I think if paintball can get over that, then that'll drive just the industry in general to a higher level.
Yeah, and also another cool thing that we didn't even mention is the women's paintball circuit is growing.
I saw that. Yeah, I've been seeing that a bunch on like the social medias and stuff, which is cool. It's great, right? Like,
absolutely. Yeah, the ladies are out there dominating. There's going to be 13 women's paintball teams at NXL World Cup, which is the most that we've ever had, and hopefully it just continues to grow. And it's just such the sport is just perfect for anyone to go out and play and have fun. It's not like you have to be tall or fast or any of these things like basketball, football, soccer, kind of traditional sports. You have to have kind of a particular style, and in paintball, anybody can
the
play.
mind.
Yeah, the mind.
And even stuff like this too, right? Like the podcasts and just the accessibility to players like yourself now, right? Like more people can get involved that way, where it's not like before you'd have to go to like a tournament, right, to go see what a pro player plays like or what a tournament looks like, sort of thing. But now with the webcasts, things of that nature, all little baby steps, but it'll get there.
The social media is booming too. We were just on, Sports Centers showing paintball as well. My boy was loading pod after pod after pod, and he let the world know.
Yo, he was. I need to know who that is, because he could do a clinic on how to not drop your gun. I mean, he was just shooting, loading, never dropped his gun once. It was impressive.
Oh, I'll have to see it. Was it just like a clip or something? Or,
yeah, it was on Sports Center.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're Sports Center IG. They've had quite a few little paintball clips in the last like 2 years on there, and the clips have done better than like almost any other post around it, which is
that's
really
awesome.
interesting. So they have a team that is dedicated to their social media analytics, and they're like, what's going on with this paintball thing? Like, it's always gets great engagement. Paintball community, show out on it.
Yeah.
They do post like 5 or 6 things a day at least, so you might have to go back a little ways by now. But if you guys can go, like, comment, share, all that stuff to the paintball stuff when any of these big, sports media companies post it.
Yep. Yeah, it's on the Sports Center Instagram, so go show love for that.
Yeah,
and
cool.
Let's see. Stangman is wondering, Glenn, will you ever be back on the paintball field again? I have heard rumors of Keith trying to get you to come out and play for Golden State Chess Club or like an ICPL. Are you going to play some 10-man?
That'll be TBD. I think I took a good baby step of getting out to velocity, but I don't know. I was telling Marcel, I was telling Skinny Kevin, next time you guys have practice, I might want to come out and just give a run with you guys.
Dude, come out. Not so 3 weekends from now. Yeah, we have practice for WCPL this weekend, then the tournament next weekend, and then Dynasty practice. We'll be at ASG. Come out.
All right.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
World Cup practice, dude. Come tune us up.
He's
And then just play the tournament with us. Why not? That actually leads into this. Young Lettuce, Glenn, seeing all the success that Dynasty has had recently, has this inspired you to suit up again?
Not really. Not in that sense. I'm happy for the success, but not enough to really get suited up.
He's back, boys. He's back, ladies and gentlemen.
You'll find it funny. So when I did play this last, it was like 2 weekends ago, I was sweating so much. It was insane. Like the sweat was like just pouring in my eyes. And I think for my life, from even remembering of like playing paintball, like I never had sweat. I'm a sweat in my eyes. It just probably is like, there's a paintball shape that you're probably in or used to it. But I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like, and then just like holding the gun up, my arm was like, I was like, dude.
It really is. Tom.
You probably had a water heater event the night before,
Yeah. No, actually I didn't. I actually didn't. Luckily. I've been trying to be healthier lately. So.
Nice.
There we go. Attaboy. Glenn, who are some, like, this is just personal, who are your like biggest inspirations when you were like coming up?
Biggest inspirations coming up.
Early pro, going pro.
It'd be Oliver when I was younger.
Yeah.
Just because he was that young pro kid. I watched a lot of the Dynasty guys. I think I remember watching some KAPP video with Ryan and his like bleached hair, like because they at the time it was interesting because they were the first ones to really stand over a bunker, right, and like shoot over the top. It wasn't really like a thing at that point that we'd seen. So that was like formative. The Russians, just because of the skill set, all those guys took it up to that next level as far as what you have to be when we're talking about just running and shooting and stuff like that. It's unheard of.
Yeah.
So those are probably them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think anybody that was better than me at something, I looked up because I'm like, how are you better? And like, how do I beat you at that?
Well, that's why you got good though.
Right. So it's like, yeah. It's like you're better at something and I need to figure out how to either be better at it, why, or just not let you beat me at that.
Yeah. No, that's imperative for success right there. If you want to get good, just listen up to that. And if you can apply what's, it's like, what's beating you? Okay, learn how to do that or why they're doing that. How can you stop it? Really have thought-provoking awareness of what's going on there.
Agreed.
Yeah,
100%.
Well, damn, Glenn, this has been an absolute pleasure having you on. One, just to hang out and talk with you for a couple hours. Haven't been able to hang out in quite a while. Hope you come out to practice. Seriously, I guess I should ask the team, but I can't imagine anyone would be against it. That'd be awesome. Just good, good
even
vibes.
if I just come out and say hi.
Yeah. I know
you're suiting up, baby. You're going to the tournament.
Yeah. Let me in. Isn't Dynasty now like two for two, right? Because didn't like Dalton come back cold and then won World Cup, and then Oliver came back cold.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense. Sign right up, dude. You could come out and play the exhibition tournament with us, the 3-period event. There's like an $8,000 prize.
Let's go, Glenn. He's on his way.
Yeah. Well, either way, definitely come out to ASG with the boys. It'd be awesome. Good vibes.
Yeah, Glenn.
This is fun hanging out with you guys.
Dude, it's so good to see you. Give our love to the fam, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you've done in paintball. Like I said, from a youngster, you inspired me in a lot of ways. So thanks for all the hard work and dedication you applied to the game. Even though you made it look real easy, you know what I mean? I know that you were working hard to be the best that you could be. And we wish you a ton of success with everything you got going on with business and the fam. And we'll see you in Florida. So we'll see you in a couple days.
Nice. Hats off to you guys on this podcast too. You guys are doing well.
Thanks, brother.
We love you, bro.
Right,
awesome.
Peace.
All right, PTG fam, thank you guys so much for tuning in and rocking with us. We really hope you enjoyed the show. As always, if you did, please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff to the YouTube channel. We'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want to be a super supporter, head over to ptgpaintball.com, click the orange Patreon link in the top corner, and become a member. Any level of support will give you access to our Discord. The Discord is where you can ask all of our guest questions and so much more. Not even going to talk about it because you guys just need to hop in there. Check it out. You get a 7-day free trial as well. So if you don't like it, just cancel. Easy. All right, everybody. As always, we'll see you very soon. Peace.